So you know those movies that the title of them, you can play around with the words to make them into funny porn titles? Well, you don't got to change shit about this one. The Bone Collector, that names itself right there.
It does, yeah.
This just made it under the wire. This is 1999.
Still 90s.
So, still the 90s technically. We're getting recommendations for 90s thrillers. I appreciate that. Some of you, though, are recommending stuff in the 2000s. So, tis.
90s
that does
only.
not count. We'll see about the early 2000s later. But for right now, we're on a 90s thriller kick. And after the disappointing revisiting of Kiss the Girls, I was like, well, okay, let's try another detective thriller. This time with Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie. There's actually a mess of names in this, from Michael Rooker to Ed O'Neill to like Queen Latifah. I mean, just like
it's a lot.
Yeah, every
90s people.
so many people.
Yeah.
And so this one is about a I think he's a forensics pathologist, I think is what he is. Lincoln Rhymes, and that's his name, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Pretty
I know
sure
his last name is Rhymes for
Yeah,
sure.
it's Lincoln Rhymes.
Yeah.
And once again, another popular fictional protagonist detective, much like Alex Cross in the Kiss of the Girls movie. But this time, we got Denzel Washington playing him, and what separates him and makes him very unique is that he is a quadriplegic. So he is injured in the line of duty, and he is one seizure away from the vegetable aisle. And he doesn't want to live no more. He's decided it's time to end his life, which is kind of odd because that's not legal in America. Although
definitely not at that time either.
Dr. Kevorkian, I think, was I don't remember when that was, but I mean, he went to prison because this just has never been euthanizing people,
Euthanasia.
Oh yeah, euthanasia. That's right. Okay, that's how you say that.
Yeah, it's a very controversial.
Yes, it is. And anyway, so he decides that's it for him, and I guess someone's gonna do it, even though he's surrounded by cops, and I feel like he would be like,
somebody.
How did he die? And he's talking about it pretty openly, in front of other people too. So I don't really understand that, but I don't know. Anyway, so he decides it's over for him, and then a case pops up, and there is a beat cop who is pretty new to the job, and this is Angelina Jolie's character, and she finds a body and some evidence, and this makes them bring him the case. Even though we just watched this, day before yesterday?
A couple days ago, I think.
Why is it brought to him specifically?
They want his opinion on it.
That's it?
That's what I remember. His old coworkers wanted to ask him about it, and...
So, obviously we're talking spoilers here. That actually kind of hurts the film almost pretty dramatically, because he's not specifically targeted, or because there's something in there. There has to be something, right? We must be missing something, because so the killer has made his way into the life of, I guess maybe not. Maybe it's all just a big coincidence that he ends up on the case when he was the one that was going to be killed, but it doesn't make any sense of why he'd even be doing this as, I don't know, the motive for why he's doing it in the end makes perfect sense. I don't mind that part of it at all. But the convoluted way he gets to him, it's like he could have killed him at any point. So making him kind of fail right and left, not being able to save these people, making him feel like a failure, that's all fine and well. But if he doesn't specifically target him and okay, for instance, in Saw 2, when Jigsaw wants Eric Matthews on the case, he specifically writes on the wall, "Look closer, Detective Matthews." Like, he calls him out. He wrote your fucking name on the wall.
Yeah.
So for him to just kind of coincidentally be pulled into this when the whole thing is about him, that seems
Maybe
very
we
far-fetched.
missed
We must have missed something
I don't
because
remember, unfortunately. I don't remember the
I'm trying to
specifics.
remember specifically too, like, why. I just thought it was brought to him by Ed O'Neill's character, and he's
Yeah.
like, "I want you to look. I want you to look at something for us."
That's how I remember it too. Like, they want to
And that's
have a
like
consultation,
that's way too coincidental.
Yeah.
It's just way too coincidental because this is literally all the whole point of this
But
is to
he
lead
also-
to his ultimate demise. And it's like, if he's not on the case, then what purpose does this serve? He could kill him at any point. He could have killed him way earlier in the film when he's in the room with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no point to it unless he's specifically on the case.
Is like, he's like kind of famous within the police precinct.
Sure.
He's written books that they use for like training and stuff. So it kind of feels like, of course, they would go to him to be like, "Can you take a look at this?"
They wouldn't, of course, go to him. He's a quadriplegic
I know,
who
but
no
they
longer
just want,
works
they
on
want to
the
use his
force.
mind, though.
Okay.
Like, he's still like,
Okay, I would agree with you if there was precedence. If, like, he finally was like, "I'm not taking any more cases. I've done enough," as the quadriplegic. But since he's been a quadriplegic, he's off cases.
Yeah.
He's not doing cases anymore. There's 100 murders in that city every freaking month. And they're just going to start bringing this specific case to him. It's just very convenient
it
for
is
the
a
plot.
happy coincidence because otherwise we wouldn't have the story.
But
We
I'm
wouldn't have the
saying, as a
movie.
writer,
Yeah.
you just do it in a way to where it has to be him, right? It has to be Lincoln who's tied to this in some way. Like, remember this perp? You're the one who arrested him. He was killed. Only you know the case. Whatever. It's simple. You can write that kind of stuff in. So if we are misremembering something, if there is something that links him to this, then all my problems are gone. But if there is nothing linking him to this case, and it's just coincidental that he gets brought on, and the literal whole point of this game, this kind of almost like Saw-like game that he's playing, is to get to the inevitable conclusion of killing him, but at no point does he have to do any of this to kill him. He's already been in his room. He has access to him. So the game is pointless outside of just to screw with him. And how could he ever even known he was going to be on the case? So that has to be resolved, or that's a huge issue with the film. But putting that aside, because I didn't even think of it until right now, until I started talking, and then I'm like, wait, why is he even on this case? That completely screws up the whole movie, if that's the case. So please, yes, correct me if you know. We'll move on from there. I just realized it right now as I'm trying to explain the movie. I'm like, wait, huh? Okay. Putting that aside, Angelina Jolie is just, she's unbelievably gorgeous in this movie. And she was so beautiful in this time period. Mm-hmm. I just remember when she came on the scene. I want to say the first time I saw her. Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe Tomb Raider? I don't think so. That feels late. I just remember, like, when she came around, it was like a big deal. And then I started watching, like, her back catalog, and I started finding all the movies that she was in, like Foxfire. and even all the way back to like Cyborg 2 and all that crap, just because I was like, I gotta see this chick in anything that she's done, and Girl Interrupted.
I think that was the first thing I saw her in was Girl Interrupted, that I at least remember seeing her in. But I think she's a talented actress. I think she has like very expressive eyes. She has really large eyes. So I think that, always kind of lends itself to actors being able to really emote through them. And I liked her in this movie, too. I think she plays a pretty nice character. Like, I didn't find her flat or, like, just for her looks or anything. Like, I liked everything that was going on with her, and her father, and her kind of having this resistance to working, like, this type of case. Because you had said in the beginning that she was, like, new, but he made a comment about, like, looking at her arrest records and stuff, like, and saying that she had a really good, like a number of them or something. So, and was wondering why she was trying to go into, like, youth services or whatever. So I don't think she's super new. I just think that she doesn't want to do this type of, like, investigative work.
Yeah.
But she does have a talent for it. And I did like their dynamic. I liked everything going on between them and him kind of encouraging her, and their, like, back and forth where she's, like, trying to stand up for, like, her boundaries, but also I think she realizes that she is good at it and she does want to help ultimately. So I liked all of that.
How did you feel about their romance?
I liked it. I know that you didn't really feel like it was as
Developed?
Yeah, as developed. But I thought it was fine. I liked how it went because they're not like enemies or anything, but they sort of have that, like, workplace tension that happens that I think is like that initial spark, and then I felt like it was pretty natural, and I thought it was very sweet, actually.
I think that it's unnecessary, and I feel like this is just a box ticking. Like, we got to check that box, right? We're going to need some kind of romance in here. This is a formula, and there's always got to be, like, some kind of romance. And it's like, the circumstances and everything that's going on, and his status and all of that stuff, I don't see that it's a necessary element to the film. Like, friends, or, like, they greatly respect one another, but romance, it just feels forced for the movie that it is. It just doesn't seem necessary. So the fact that it's kind of just, I don't want to say shoehorned, but kinda, I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of just there, and I was like, it's fine. I don't hate it. It's not like, oh my God, yeah, no way. It comes out of absolutely nowhere. It's not like that. It just feels like it's written in almost as like an afterthought. Like, oh, why don't we put them together? Now, I can only assume this was adapted off of a specific story, and in that story they become romantic or not. I don't know, because if you look at, Hollywood, when they adapt things, you can look no further than Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game, and how many years it took him to get that made, because no matter what he did, the Hollywood studios, and it's wild when you look into it. It is crazy to hear him tell the stories about, like, how he kept fighting against them. No, we're not going to have a romance in this. There's no romance. Ender Wiggin is not a romantic person. That's not his character. He's like a calculated, military-minded kid who doesn't give a shit about women. Like, that's not his thing. Right? And, like, he continued to keep, and even when they were, like, agreeing to it, they, like, would put it on page, like, 40 of, like, try to sneak it in. Yeah. They'd be like, what are you, we're not doing a romance. So, Hollywood always tries to force a romance in, because it's just, as I said, box ticking. And this kind of felt like that. It's not horrible, but I just felt like it doesn't serve any purpose to the film to me. Anyway, but moving on from that, I do like that there is kind of an acknowledgement, and I don't know if this is a book thing either, because we didn't read the book, but because she is so unbelievably beautiful, the fact that she, like, was a model before Like her dad died, and this kind of what pushed her into law enforcement.
Yeah.
I liked that little touch of like, I don't know, just kind of acknowledging that. I don't know. She just has such an unnatural beauty to her to like not address it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
at this time, as like now, way more women are cops, and especially like attractive women, and I just feel like at this time it was not a thing as much, and just I don't know, that's silly. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but I just found it to be like, okay.
I like it too, though, because I think that especially during like the 90s, it still happens now as well, of course, but like Hollywood was like very superficial with like casting people that were just all like ridiculously attractive. It still totally happens, and you could definitely argue that it basically is all Hollywood has pretty much ever done.
Yeah.
And it's something that I actually really dislike, because I like to see like normal, regular looking people, because I think
they don't sell tickets.
They don't, but there's still like those people are still attractive too. Like having these really like unattainable, like, I don't know, because, and we kind of talked about it a little, which again it sort of ties in with the superficiality, but like with how Angelina Jolie looks, like we were discussing whether or not she had any like plastic surgery or anything, and we were like, I don't think so. Like I think that's just how she looks. But I know nowadays it's like so common for celebrities to have had something done. At the very least, they all have like veneers. So that's definitely like, as much as I like looking at attractive people, I also find it to be kind of like very fake and plasticky, and I like anyway. But I like that it's addressed in this that she was a model, because it's, yeah, she's one of those people that it's just like she is very ethereal. So
yeah, would have made a good elf.
Yes.
So I think, okay, in comparison to something like we just watched, like Kiss the Girls, which I kind of dogged out pretty hard when we reviewed it. I thought this was like miles better, and I think where it's so much better is in its detectiving, right? I really enjoyed the detective work in this. I thought that was all very engaging, entertaining, thrilling, and I did something this movie did do very well is it always had this imminent feel of like the imminent demise if they didn't solve it in time.
Yeah.
Right? There's that ticking clock, and I always felt it for the next victim. And while we don't spend a lot of time with the killer and his victims, this does kind of have a Saw-like feel to it, right? This is pretty similar in that almost like Detective Matthews, you got to save these people kind of thing. And he's that chick who's like put in front of a freaking steam pipe.
Yeah.
As they're trying to find her. And the, all the pieces that lead him to the Bone Collector book. I don't know. The more I think about the convenience of things, the more I'm like, okay, this is silly. Because just all the little things that have to go right, all the things that like it all has to get to Lincoln for him to know, because he's the only person that would like be able to connect that book picture, and that like this chick had to find the body right as the train was coming, and that she'd be like a beat cop that would actually stop a train, otherwise she would lose that, and if she lost that evidence, he would have never solved the first thing, which then would have never brought him.
They would have never come to him with it, because that was like her photos of everything. Yeah.
So it's like that's
it's
convenient.
Definitely like kind of like a fairy tale type of detective story.
Yeah.
Like the detective work feels a little bit more grounded versus like the other one, Kiss the Girls, but it is still very like serendipitous, and like, as you said, like things are lining up in a way that it works out. But it could very easily not work out that way. So that is, I think, for this story, something that you have to suspend your disbelief to enjoy it. But I think that one of the like markers of a good thriller is if it does make like complete logical sense too. Like if you can follow it like a detective and it works versus like it relying on things to happen in a very specific way in order to be solved, you know?
This is why movies like Seven and Silence of the Lambs are the king of this subgenre of film, because all of the detective work and all of the story, all of it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I don't have to suspend disbelief ever. I don't ever have to question what's this and, you know, have to be like, okay, like that's really convenient.
Right.
Like, man, there's just nothing like those movies, right? Like, even in Seven, when Mills and Somerset like screw up his plans and find him before they're supposed to, and end up at his house, like it alters his plan and changes things, and the way he works around that is just, it's just brilliant. And movies like this are just all about convenience and the audience just saying, okay, like
that's what happened.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't, and that's okay, because like, don't get me wrong, these are leagues apart, right? Like Seven and Silence of the Lambs and stuff like Zodiac are like here, and you know, this is maybe here, and then Kiss the Girls is like down here. So it's like it's totally different tier levels of things. But this is one of those movies where it's like, I don't have any problem just going with it, because the movie's good at entertaining me and keeping it in that like movie realm of reality.
Yes.
Right? As to where Seven and Silence of the Lambs feels like authentic reality. Where I feel like I'm watching something, it's still a movie, because movies, real life is not that entertaining. It's just, it feels like I don't have any real critiques. I don't have to suspend any disbelief with those movies for the most part. And with these, it's just like you do, but you're having such a good time, and you're going, and they're stringing you along so well that you don't care. You're just like, I'm in on it. Whatever.
I mean, I think, the pacing is really good in this, and the acting from everybody is also really good, and I do like the way that they build, like, as you said, the tension and, like, this urgency to save people. So all of that, I think, works well. It has that same, like, color grading from, like, Kiss the Girls, like, this, like, gray, which I'm not knocking it. It's just very, very funny to see, like, the theme, you know, they're like, this is a serious movie, so we gotta make it dark, and like, I want to see a like thriller movie that's all like bright colors but still suspenseful.
I mean, all giallos.
Yeah. But
watching Argento movie.
Yeah, but those are different. Argento movies don't have the feel of 90s thrillers. They're like much more like theatrical. And these are not. You want
the Neon Demon, but like a detective movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had a good time with this one. I mean, I don't know. I like the ending. I'm happy that they get a happy ending. It feels nice, but I
mean, he's able to fight off his attacker as a quadriplegic.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty impressive that they were able to make that work, and I think it works fine. Like, I mean, I think he logically, all of that works.
I was questioning, and please tell me if I'm off on this, but it didn't make really much sense to me that when he goes into seizures, his entire body is shaking. I didn't think that was possible because his spinal cord is severed. But then again, he's not like he's not a quadriplegic like we are used to, because he has use he's able to breathe on his own.
And he uses his finger. So I feel like
So
if he was
he's
truly paralyzed,
yeah.
he wouldn't be able to move anything below his neck. But I also don't know how
That's
that works.
True.
I don't know. I'm sure that there are different types of like paralysis and like nerve damage that can happen. So maybe he doesn't have like the ability to consciously control it, but it still can have a like, I don't want to say knee-jerk reaction, but like I mean, essentially, like a knee-jerk reaction. Like, it's just, like if you were to, like, electrocute somebody, they would, like, an involuntary reaction. That's what I mean.
Because it's his muscles.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Somebody that maybe knows should let us know in the comments.
Because it's, it's the muscular system that's reacting.
But they said specifically that, like, like, something about his spine. So that's why I'm not sure.
I feel like when Angelina Jolie was like massaging his finger, I feel like he would have had a twitch somewhere lower. That would have been funny if we saw the sheet just kind of move a little. And he's just like, "What's that? What's going on?" And he's like, "Are you the bone collector?" Yeah. I mean, once again, I think all the detective stuff is good. It has it's trying to be like 7 and whatnot.
100%, especially with the different bodies that are found and such. But
yeah, as I said, I think under scrutiny, I think when I'm overthinking this movie, when I'm thinking about like what is the whole point of like leading him to the bone collector book and all of that. Now, when he reveals himself and he's the guy from the beginning, which is actually kind of reminiscent of Saw. So I feel like they definitely watched a lot of these movies and were like stealing little bits and pieces of them each from Seven, Bone Collector, and whatnot. But when he comes in, it's like I don't remember what I was going to say. Shit.
You were talking about like his explanation for like why he.
Oh yeah, that's pretty messed up because he basically just says like your police report on me got me put in jail.
Yeah.
And for like 6 years, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
Something like that. He was like raped every day. He doesn't explicitly say that, but
garbage can or a human toilet or something.
Toilet, yeah.
Yeah, I think his motivation makes sense, but I'm with you that I don't really understand the connection to the bone collector. Like, I don't know what that fascination is, where he's like, this is going to be the thing that I'm going to base everything off of.
This is like all the old buildings that you would know, and the book you would know, and it's all leading to you, and it's like, okay, like.
But it's such an old book, though. It's not like. It still feels very obscure.
Yes.
Like, even though he would know it and be able to make the connection, it feels very obscure. Like, again, that's another thing that I'm not sure if we got an explanation that we're forgetting about why he chose that book specifically.
But it's also like making this guy do something through a surrogate that, like, I don't know. It's just, he can't even go out in the world and stop any of this stuff. He just kind of has to sit there, which I guess is the torture.
That's part of it, yeah.
Right? It's like I can't do anything about it. I don't know. I don't think that they sell that part of the film well on like how he's connected to it that way and how it's supposed to impact him and why he's doing it that way.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of muddy for me.
Yeah.
It's just convenience. Because, anyway, I think I've said enough on all of that. And anything more?
No, I think that's everything.
Yeah. So, okay, what other detective thrillers or 90s thrillers are you looking forward to? And for everyone asking, I can't believe, I thought for sure Kaylee and I did this. But The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite 90s thriller. I honestly, well, I guess Seven and Silence of the Lambs are 90s thrillers technically. But like one of my favorite lesser known 90s thrillers, I guess, one that doesn't get talked about enough, but enough people ask for it. But I showed it to Kayleigh.
We watched it a couple years ago.
A while ago.
And
I thought we reviewed it.
No.
I totally thought we did. And when I went to look, I was shocked to see that we didn't.
We're definitely going to do it. We need to watch it again for my sake. He could probably do a review from memory.
Do it right now.
But we'll rewatch it again so that we can do it. And then we also talked about doing the Silence of the Lambs stuff.
Yeah.
Because that was another thing. I've only seen the Silence of the Lambs. I haven't seen like the sequels, and we're currently watching the Hannibal TV series, and we're going to review that by season, hopefully.
Yeah. As everyone knows, I watched the entirety of all Hannibal stuff, took notes on 100% of it, and never reviewed any of it.
Yeah. But we're going to review it this time.
Yeah. And that wasn't my fault, by the way.
And it wasn't my fault.
No, it wasn't Kayleigh's fault, actually. It was the mother's kid. My mother, the mother of my kid's fault, actually.
I'm really excited to watch all that, and I'm really loving the Hannibal TV show. So yeah. And
the next movie will be Fear with Mark Wahlberg, which we already watched a while ago, but people brought it up, and I was like, yeah, let's review it.
Yeah,
because it's fresh. I know it well. I've seen it.
I remember
50
it.
times.
It's pretty memorable.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel comfortable doing it.
Okay. So that'll be the next one, and we'll see you there. All right, guys. Bye.